Kia ora, Helen Brahms coming to you live from Mesa in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic sparkling tune-up Tuesday. How has your tune-up Tuesday been? Have you been asking lots of questions today? I have had major Q&A day today, major. So I started the day off, of course, doing the Facebook Live and talking about the Aladdin factor and asking for what you want. Getting rid of those inhibitions about asking for help and everything else. And then I had to go and get some work done for a client today. So I was working in their CRM, which I am in the process of learning. So I am taking what I am learning and applying it. And then I did a couple of things in the system and I wasn't 100% sure about it. So I sent the person who was doing the training a quick email to say, hey, I did these in the system here. Can you please go in and verify I did it correctly? I haven't checked email at all since then. Then I had a quick lunch and then I was into learning a completely new system today. So I am in the process of learning new systems all over the place right now. And I just got off 4 hours of learning a brand new system. It does not seem like I spent 4 hours with one person going through the system, watching them doing what they were doing, asking a lot of questions. I've got pages of notes next to me, and it was just a big Q&A day. So if I wasn't sure on something, I was asking questions. If I suddenly thought of, oh, well, what about this? If we did da-da-da-da-da, would that also work? So lots and lots of questions got asked today. Great conversation backwards and forwards, all in training mode. So it has been like one of the really coolest days I've had for a bit. And I can't believe it's like 5:14 already. And I'm late doing this because I was asking so many questions. But it was really, really fun, and I'll be back doing probably the exact same thing tomorrow, with the exception of I have to stop for my accountability call in the middle of the afternoon, go do that, and then get back online again. So it's going to be a very fun, action-packed stuff. I'm getting to go live in systems. It's just been a great day of training. In fact, most of my work coming up over the next few weeks, I'm going to spend half the day of training and half the day of working. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's actually quite energized by it all. There's regular tasks I have to do, which I do. And then there is work I have to do for a client, and I've got my to-do list that I have to do for them. And then my other client, I am learning the system and everything else and developing a list with them of, in this situation you do this, in this situation you do that, and in this situation you do this, and we're learning the flow process. It's like one of those, and all I can picture is when I was back in New Zealand, I used to work for Data General years ago. We had a new CRM come in. The CRM was not only had all the client information was and who the on-site contact was, because I worked for a computer company, so we had a lot of service contracts, and the service contracts covered hardware that you had on site, and it also covered software in most cases. And in the computer system, we also, so when I first started using the system, I was actually on the help desk, answering the calls, taking the information, and then assigning it off to the engineers, whether they hardware engineers or the software engineers. And then I got moved into the contract side of it, but I was still the administrator for New Zealand for this company. And so on the contract side, I had to make sure that whatever service agreement the clients had signed up for was reflected in the system. So if they had problems with a piece of equipment, I could go. The people now working on the help desk, or the engineers, could go in and see if that piece of equipment or that piece of software was actually covered under the contract. So then they knew, we don't need to bill it. This one we need to let them know they're going to get charged for it. So we had that sort of information in there. But that one there, I remember training the engineers one day, having to go in to show them how the system worked and what information we needed from them and why we needed it from them, and how it was going to improve the workflow for them as well. And I remember putting the very first, and this is going to really date me, we had an overhead projector, which we used at the time, and my very first, not slide, what do they call them? My very first piece that I would put on the overhead projector was this mass diagram of all the different pieces. It was a flow diagram of every part of the system, from the contracts to the help desk to the engineers and their assignments to the software engineers and their assignments and everything. And there were all these lines going in between about how they all connected and everything else. And I'd put up and go, this is our new system. And they would look at us and say, don't worry about the lines. They're going to become crystal clear by the end of today. And then I would give them sort of about 4 or 5 hour training session on the pieces that we're going to use. We actually had them sitting at computer terminals. We had them set up in the testing system so they could actually go in and see, and they were putting calls in for themselves. They were closing them out. They were coming up with what the reasons were, because there were set reasons in the system where they could code them and all of that sort of stuff. So all I could think of today as I was going through the new system was that flow diagram where you had little boxes here and there, and then you had a massive lines connecting every single box with every other box on the thing. So every box was connected in some way, and there were really no arrows on it, but that was meant to be the flow process for the system. And I was sort of like, yeah. So that's all I could think of today. But I thought, I made that system look crystal clear, so I can do this one as well. But this one's actually a lot easier to use. So it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of learning, and I am loving it. I love today. Zeffie slept through most of it. She's now up and looking out the window. She, of course, had to have her break today because she knew the mail truck was coming up. But it's a new mail truck, so it doesn't quite sound like the old one. And every time she sees it pulls in, she stands there and looks at it like complete statue. Her tail is still, because the other one, she would hear it coming and she'd jump up the window and the tail would start going. And then she suddenly realizes who was in it. So she runs to the door, and I had the door open with the screen door closed. She runs to the door and she's like whining and getting up on the screen, trying to get to Chris, our mail carrier. And then Chris wasn't coming. And she's like, what's going on? And so she runs back to the window and then runs back to the door. And then she hears the mail carrier talking with the neighbor across the street. And she's just sort of like, oh! And she runs up to the window and she's like looking out and watching the two of them having a conversation there on the road. And she's like whining up a storm because she's sort of like, this is my treat time. Where's my treat? Stop talking to him. Bring me my treat. So, but then Chris started walking towards the door and Zeffie was sort of like at the door to meet her. So she's still getting used to the new truck, because that's like the third day in a row that we've had the new truck. Or the third time in a row we've had the new truck. So it's been an interesting experience watching her adapt to having a different mail truck come through. So I'm just curious as to what's going to happen when we move campgrounds and they deliver mail. But then she does the same with the UPS truck. She does the same with the FedEx truck, the Amazon Prime. So any delivery vehicle that stops for across the road or the site next door to us that she can see, she's at the window, and then she runs to the door to see, are they bringing me anything? And if I happen to get a package delivered, she's at the door there and she's like pouring at the door, like trying to get to them because she wants her treat. She thinks every delivery person is going to bring her a treat. She hasn't learned that not every delivery person that comes to the door will have treats for her. So we will get her trained on that one. But anyway, it's been a super fantastic sparkling day. I am super excited about how today has gone. I got to go take my dog for WALK now and then figure out what I'm going to do for dinner tonight. I haven't figured that out, but we'll see. Anyway, that's it from us for today. It's been a super fantastic sparkling day. Hope you have had the same sort of day as well. What sort of questions did you get to ask and answer today? Was it about a new system you were learning? Was it about something that you needed clarity on? Let us know the type, not the actual question, but the types of questions. We needed questions on clarity. You needed questions on how to do something. You needed questions for how you use questions to help, ask for help. What sort of things did you do today? And then we will catch you back here tomorrow. Oh, the wind's just come up. Yep, we're going to rock and roll for a little bit. But we've got a cold front coming in from the west. And the wind is definitely coming in, definitely from the west, because all the palm trees are bending towards us, because west is out the front of the RV. So we will catch you back here tomorrow for Winning Wednesday, and that's that day of the week that we love to celebrate the wins. So start looking back through the last week. What wins have you had this week that we can celebrate tomorrow? But you should always celebrate them when they happen, because that's the best time to do it. But have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we will catch you guys tomorrow. Hei konera.